When you hear the word wealth, what thoughts or pictures come to mind? Depending on your background and your past exposure, you might equate wealth with blessing, or maybe at the other extreme with some sort of exploitive evil. Yeah, we've seen both views played out in popular culture over the past few years. But back to your own impressions. Maybe you see vacations in lavish Mediterranean villas, or how about a sleek red sports car? You might think of health as the ultimate form of wealth, or a family together enjoying a holiday meal. It could even be a comfortable leather chair in a walnut-paneled library surrounded by good books, or the chance to pursue that upscale hobby. You know, no matter what your thoughts or visions, there's one thing that we can certainly be sure of. These ideas weren't exclusively the product of your own imagination. Our ideas about wealth, what it takes to obtain it, what it actually is, and who may or may not deserve it are largely formed in each of us by family, by friends, and by the diet of information and ideas we ingest. Could I suggest you pause the tape right there, have some discussion in your group about that last idea before we move on? The ideas we have about wealth as we enter adult life are not really so much our ideas as they are those of the powerful influencers in each of our lives. So let's consider that in the context of parenting. Dad, the discussions you have with your wife about wealth, they'll influence your children's perceptions and understandings. The conversations you have about neighbors or people you see while driving to and from routine errands, they'll inform their thinking as well. That's obviously so true about many things, but isn't it funny that our ideas about wealth generally spill over into our judgments about the people who possess it or don't possess it? So it seems that wealth is more than just a form of assets. It's often a form of personal identity. Let me recommend again that you pause the tape and take some time to think about how wealth and identity are intimately connected in many people's minds. We'll get back to the orchard in just a minute. As you can see, we're now shooting at a local strip mall. It'll make sense in a minute why we're here. And then we'll get back to the orchard as soon as we're done with this section. Well, by now you've probably noticed that I'm using the word wealth and not money. We'll get to that in a moment, but first let's look at the most important distinction which must be drawn this week and why we're discussing wealth as a separate topic from work and, of course, income. Did you know that many great chefs make terrible restaurant managers? Yeah, it's true. And it's true for mechanics and repair shops and for farmers and agribusinesses as well. People can be absolutely great at doing something and not great at managing the systems and the procedures involved in making that happen. You know, that's less obvious to most people than it should be because it seems like such a very subtle difference. After all, why wouldn't a mechanic be the most likely person to own a thriving garage? Well, because knowing how to fix cars on the one hand and running a profitable business that does that on the other are two completely unique sets of skills, informed by different bodies of knowledge. You know, sometimes both are found in one person, but it's just as often the case that they aren't. Yet for people who are willing, all of those skills can generally be learned. Well, I hope you can see where we're headed with this. We need to take that simple yet profound observation and transfer it from the realm of small business and into the lives of your sons and daughters as individuals. You know, to have a great career and to have a good income is no guarantee whatsoever of getting beyond the need to live week to week or check to check. You see, as bizarre as this may sound, making money and managing it once it's made are often two completely different skills. Exactly as running a kitchen and running the business that owns the kitchen often separate chefs from their business partners. To help each of your children find their sweet spot in a career or a calling, well, that's a noble pursuit worthy of any parent's best efforts, really. To help them understand how to work diligently and wholeheartedly is a tremendous gift to give them. But to stop there is to give them only part of the formula for life well lived. Let's get back to the orchard, where we'll finish up this discussion. The apple right here and the dollar bill in my hand represent two different forms of fruit and two different types of effort. Each will determine if the halter ultimately benefits from the harvest. The dollar represents part of the harvest of work in much the same way as the apple represents the harvest of diligent orchard management. When thinking of the apple, it's obvious that if the harvest isn't managed with the same care as it were the trees, then the harvest will spoil or be lost. Yet that's equally true in a different way for the dollar. Such care and attention can go into the work which earns the dollar, and yet the work of handling and managing that same dollar once earned or harvested can be left to whim or impulse. Think of it this way. Imagine a world-class surgeon and his team doing their finest work in a risky heart surgery. The operation is successful. The patient is expected to recover to full health and vitality. Then the surgeon's parting words to his patient are to make sure his diet from that time on includes plenty of McDonald's double quarter pounders with cheese. What? Success in one area is no guarantee of success in another. This week in your groups, you'll be considering thoughtfully why it's just as important and vital a personal skill to be a good manager of the harvest as it is to be good at harvesting. As we wrap this up, let's consider together a manager's creed. A manager is a person who's responsible for taking in the items that are placed into his control and improving their value or worth. He didn't necessarily create them. He just takes what's been given to him and improves it. He takes a small amount and through care and diligence turns it into a lot. But his work doesn't stop there. A skilled manager then takes what is of short-lived value and turns it into things of more durable and lasting value. Just as the apple was valuable but not durable when compared with the dollar, the manager takes things of short-lived value and invests those in things of more lasting value. But as disciples of Jesus, the manager's work then is still not done. The diligent manager, guided by his commitment to Christ, will take what is of temporal or earthbound value and transform it into things which will be of eternal value. Well, I hope you have a great discussion in your groups this week as you consider the difference between income development and wealth management.